to the next edition of Serverless Craic. How are we getting on? Anybody got the flu?
I'm surrounded with people with the flu, but thankfully I've managed to resist.
Yeah, touch wood have avoided it. It's been definitely in the household, but
Touch wood.
yeah, it's been going around. Getting ready for Christmas.
What? Ready for Christmas? That's it. Right, we're nearly there now. Still flying through the book.
Yep.
We've a case study today, which is the BBC. So the fourth phase, the flywheel is long-term value. So there was a case study about the BBC and sort of so this was a really interesting one. I first came across this story a good few years ago. It caught my eye that the BBC were looking at serverless first, and it's mostly sort of, I think it was BBC News, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I met the guy called Matthew Clark, who was the head of architecture, BBC, I think still is in digital products. And the thing that stuck out, and really the thing about this is problem prevention.
Yep.
Problem prevention and scale. The two things that really jumped out for me with this story is the BBC don't mess about. They're always very advanced, and they've got the time to figure out and like what's right for their I suppose their customers, their viewers, and then something like the news, like Matthew had said to me, with I think I actually met him at I think it was a GoTo conference. Um, he said sometimes they get like a story where something's happened in England, like to the Royals, and the whole world hits the BBC site.
Yep.
So the scale that they get is unbelievable. So they go from like low to off, like through the roof when something big happens in over in the UK or in England. So I thought it was really interesting to hear the fact that they have such scale. Technically, they know what they're doing, and they decided to roll something like BBC News, which is absolutely a flagship service for them on serverless. I just thought that was insane. Like,
Yep. And it's massive complexity, massive site, massive
oh
web estate.
yeah, when you think of the content, all the translation, the languages, the CDNs for all over the world, it's incredibly complicated. The different medias, a lot of like linking to the different audio, video, different types of media, and they're always experimenting with new types of media as
Yeah.
well. So they're always very experimental. Again, with the things like BBC iPlayer years ago.
There's also the
So
unique constraint around being owned, publicly owned by the UK people, right? So it has to be really efficient and ruthlessly efficient, like we've written down here, right?
yeah, that first day I met him. I said, like, I'm one of your customers.
Yep.
I use BBC News all the time. I actually said to him, and I have noticed it's got faster.
Yep.
But I think going back, I mean, again, I don't know the full ins and outs of this, but I think before they moved to serverless, I think they just seen that sometimes things were a little bit slow when they were scaling, so they had an opportunity to improve things.
Mm.
So they decided to move to a serverless. It's almost like a component based architecture.
Yep.
And I remember saying to them at the time, I have noticed it's got faster because I'd noticed I used to always look at BBC online and use on my phone, still do, and I had noticed as I was when I was talking to them at that time that it's definitely got faster. I think that could have been around. I think it could have been around 2020 or so, around that time.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Definitely lived through. They were definitely going through a transformation because I was like yourself. I was always on the BBC website, particularly on their sports pages, and
Mm.
you definitely noticed variation between. They've definitely got geolocation and routing going on and stuff like that, and the different kind of experiences. And they were they were piloting around. I think I first came across the BBC around all their user experience stuff. They had a really good public user experience
Yeah, no, their design system was brilliant.
design system,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you could see them. And but the BBC and the UK Gov were the two that you always kind of looked at.
Yeah. Actually,
Um,
I forgot. I remember actually asking him about that. I said we were using your design system back in 2012 because
mm,
it was brilliant, the component library.
mm,
And it was built obviously for open source for reuse, so
And
it's
even
cool.
just
Like,
like making sure that their teams are focusing on differentiating value, right? There's a whole section there on focusing on the differentiator, right? And this is where
yeah,
serverless first approach really kicks in, right? You're not spending time managing infrastructure or servers or patching or any of that sort of stuff. You're focusing on really differentiating value, getting these new capabilities and features into the hands of hundreds of millions of people worldwide. Like,
mm,
that's a massive enabler for them.
Mm, that's true. And then I think it's in that book as well. They're also, again, it's a customer that does have has hugely kind of spiky traffic for sure. And then there's even I think there's a line in it where they're saying it's not a panacea as well. They know there's areas they have to be specialists in. I think they mentioned the transcoding and then having dedicated kind of features for it, which is a good typical, it's a mature response, right? Um,
And then back in the day, there's a section here around being production ready, right? Serverless maybe wasn't as mature, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, but having the BBC, talking about how production ready it was, and even the number of incidents affecting the BBC website has significantly reduced, right?
yeah.
That's a
Mm.
massive, right? Existence proof for serverless at scale in worldwide critical massive systems.
Mm.
You can see why they like it, for sure. Like in terms of like the global scale, the global reach, like the availability, the uptime, but it goes back to Adrian and Cockcroft and what he describes serverless is it's a set of constraints that you just work with, and you again you can use it and you can assemble it in whatever way you kind of need to for whatever your requirement, but it is a constrained system, and that in itself is actually very powerful for companies like BBC. You know,
Mm.
they just got to get what they need to get done and then focus on the other areas, um, where they need to become specialists or
That's a
they
good one too about the constraints.
yeah.
Yeah, because what I found interesting in talking to them is it's not like the BBC is this huge company where all the technology teams do exactly the same thing. There's all different, it's all quite distributed.
Yep.
So there's every range of technology within it's a huge organization and obviously very old. So in actual fact, the team for BBC News is relatively small. It's not like it's 500 people. It's a relatively small team. So one of the things that was hitting them is that they were spending lots of time on maintenance and kind of, non-value add. So actually moving to serverless give them time to do their continuous delivery. So then they'll be able to release every 20 minutes. New version of Node came out. They could completely upgrade to it in 2 weeks after it came out. Where I remember saying that they would have spent loads of time doing like, updating stuff. And I remember actually asking about Kubernetes and he said, we just don't have the people to kind of stand up that type of infrastructure. We don't have enough people in this team, so they could focus on the content, which is their bread and butter. So I
Yep.
thought it was really interesting because their differentiator was the content and having it available, which is exactly what they did.
And he was very pragmatic around the limitations here around, it wasn't a silver bullet, especially at the
Mm,
times. There wasn't all the serverless capabilities and features that's available today. So, it was very much a serverless first, but not serverless only sort of mindset and approach that he took, which was great to see and was very mature even for
mm.
whenever we chatted to them. So yeah, I think it's a great case study. I think it stands the test of time. I wonder what else they've done since that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing actually. How further have they evolved it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I must love to catch up with them again. But they're still hitting big traffic. I did see an article there, I think it was last year. They actually have an article, if you can look at it, it's let me just see the title of it. It's called Delivering BBC Online Using Serverless. It was written in 2024.
Ooh.
So obviously on the BBC site. Um and they're saying they're hitting like for traffic. Where's the figures? They're hitting like 120,000 requests per minute on the platform, which is 2.5 million page views per minute through the CDNs. So when they're hit very hard.
Mm,
So it's standing up,
Oh yeah.
mm,
which you would expect. And the thing, I mean, the big thing about this phase of the flywheel is long-term value. Obviously, we focus on the architected. So obviously, all those things around kind of cost and security, performance, reliability, all come to the fore here. I do like the setting of problem prevention. The site just cannot go down. It's unthinkable. So it's there's a lot of really, really good engineering in here.
mm. And plus, they're probably like, I mean, I don't know about you, like their media player and stuff has got really good in the
Mm.
last sort of few years. Like, there's a lot of kind of stuff I would watch on it.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, fair play.
Yeah,
It's a good case study. It really brings it all home.
Mm.
yeah, exactly. It's interesting stuff. A short one. And then he put in like he put in Gall's law at the end. A complex system that works is invariably found to have evolved from a simple system that worked. So the thing that struck me out, I think most of these guys are in Manchester from memory. Um, really, really solid engineers doing all the good stuff well. You know what I mean? Which I think is a sign of really strong engineering. Do the most simplest thing possible that works and just evolve and scale that. There was no like crazy architecture, crazy ideas here. Very, very pragmatic and very practical.
Yeah.
I think that's always to be celebrated.
Yep.
Cool.
Very good.
It's a short one.
Yep.
So that's the crack. So I think we're going to do we'll do the conclusion next time, the getting started, and then we'll do a retro and writing the book. What do you reckon?
I think so.
Be good fun to
Yeah,
do.
good fun.
Then we can think about what we're going to do next.
Ooh, exciting.
Mhm.
Yeah, write the
Well, that's
book.
a crack. Should we leave it at that then? Should we give us a wee like or a follow on the serverless.com and keep us on YouTube. And thanks very much. Until next time.
Bye.
Thank you.